does it not look like? Because my issue with leadership was I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what it sort of looked like. I knew the attributes of leadership. Leaders are trustworthy. They're inspiring. They're visionary. But how to do it? What do I have to do as a leader? That was what was missing for me. So I would say in your example there in the performance review, getting really, really clear on what does success look like. And I firmly believe that once we really, really understand what success looks like, how we get there is probably one of the easier things because we can figure it out. But I spent 15 years stumbling around in the dark, trying to figure out, well, what do leaders do? How do I do this thing? And then when I do it, what does it look like? And every now and again, I'd maybe stumble on something and someone would say, that was great. But it was like, how do I tie all this together? So providing that clarity, I think, is really important. And what I find, a lot of leaders today don't know what leadership is. They can describe characteristics, but my definition of leadership that I borrowed from Bob Dunham is leaders declare a future that others commit to achieve. And what that means is you have to have a vision of where you're going. You have to have a future that you're trying to create. You have to bring others along with you. You have to inspire them, and they have to choose to want to follow you. And once we start off with something like that, then we can start to think about what is the vision you want to create? Where do you want to go? And Daniel, you've got just an amazing vision. It's very evident. About doing good in the world and inspiring youth and creating that new future, and you're inspiring and bringing others along. You're not telling them what they should believe. You're inspiring them and empowering them. That was what I was missing. And when I started to get that, that was a complete shift for me as a leader. I used to think my job was to control people and tell them what to do to achieve the outcome that I thought we needed to get.
So there's this really powerful word that I love, and it's choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that leaders give choices or opportunities to their team.
Yeah.
And I find that bosses or management dictate what their choice is for their team.
Absolutely.
So I love what you're talking about as leaders declare a future that others achieve. Is that correct?
Others commit to achieve. So it's commitment based as well.
I love it.
And here's the difference. A leader, when I used to be a leader and I was telling people what to do, I describe an analogy as a bit like I was in a rowing boat. I'm on the oars, my team are sitting in the front, and I'm rowing away. We're making progress, but it's really hard work. When we have a committed team, it's like being in a sailing boat where the team know what they're doing. They're all pitching in. We've got the wind in our sails, and my job as the leader of the team is on the rudder, guiding the boat to where we need to be. And that's more enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah, I find that when people can own something, and I think it's really like to do with our, what I call in our company, our ego. When it's our idea, when we're part of something that's bigger than us, it's more enjoyable. Definitely to do something with other people. It creates a bond and a connection, which is really interesting over COVID here the last couple months, which is going to date this podcast, but it's great because it's very challenging, I think, to lead from Zoom a lot of the time. Because people are so connected personally. What's your thought on that?
About sort of remote working and inspiring them. To me, it's all conversations. And it's about having high quality conversations. Is it as good as being face to face? No. Is it good enough? I absolutely think it is. I mentioned Scott, my first coach. Scott said something very profound to me about conversations. And he said, Andy, your success will be highly impacted by the conversations you're having, the conversations you're not having, and how well you're having them. And to me and you're really good at having these conversations. And this is what part of the missing art, as you talked about. It's easy to talk past each other. When we go back to diversity, I'm not seeking to understand. I'm seeking to tell you how I see things while we're talking past each other. Powerful conversations are ones where we're listening. We're seeking to understand the other person's perspective. Trying to join the dots. Where are we different? Having the courage to have the conversation that we're scared to have, but know that we need to have it because it isn't going to get any easier until we do.
I love it. I'm processing. It's good. It's good. You guys listening to this, you're getting like $10,000 worth of free advice right now in 45 minutes. Okay, so let me ask you. So you build this leadership in you. You're a rock star leader. You become what they call high performance team coach at Intel. Mm-hmm. There can't be that many high performance team coaches, right?
It was something that I created myself.
I love it.
This is after I'd spoken to my boss and said, I was leading the strategy office for IT at the time, and she was a terrific boss, really great. And I said to her, Kim, we need to hire a professional strategist to run this function because it's a way more important job than I can and have the passion to do. And I want to go off and do something in the people space where I think we really need my skills, my talents, my passion. And she was great. She really supported me and said, well, hey, what do you want to go do? And that's what I set out to create, which was, essentially a team leadership function for IT where I was coaching team leaders and, again, hoping to get a 10x impact on what I could do individually. And that was great. And that's where it was almost a test as well for me of, is this truly what I wanted to do? And it didn't take me long to figure out that, yes, this is exactly what I want to do.
I love it. I'm on your organsportsangels.org.
Yeah.
You're one of the founders, founding partner. I mean, you guys are doing awesome stuff on here. Fuel, coaching, connections, momentum. So give me a little bit of background. Like, are you the only partner? Did you have a couple buddies get together and say, I want to change what sports is like today?
Yeah, great. And I know you have a sports background, Daniel, and so this is probably close to home for you in connection. But so this is really the passion, the brainchild of Kate Delhagen. And Kate is the sort of Uber founder of Oregon Sports Angels, an amazing leader. She's been named one of the 40 most influential female leaders in Oregon this year. And I bumped into Kate investing in another startup, a minority-owned startup in the food industry in Portland. We hit it off. Kate has a very deep background in sports. And I love sports. I'm a soccer nut. I'm a big Portland Timbers fan. I'm English, obviously, so it's in my blood. So when Kate said, hey, I'm forming this angel organization called the Oregon Sports Angels, would you like to come and join me? It was like, great, when do I start? Let's do it. And we've been helping leaders in the sports industry. And I say leaders, they may even just be an individual, but they're leaders because they're passionate. They have a vision for the future. And we're helping them take their vision and turning that into a reality. And there's about 25 of us now in Oregon Sports Angels, and people with just amazing skills from the sports industry. That our goal really is to obviously invest in these companies, but also really give them the benefits of our talents and our experience and skills to really help them learn and grow so they can get over the chasm of I've got this idea, and then how do I turn that into reality? So we're looking to create the next generation of leaders in the sports industry and the next generation of products.
So that's really interesting because, I mean, I was an MMA fighter, wrestled for WWE, world lifting champ, had a great sports career. And I find that there are so many kids. So we had 3 schools this last year with 330 kids. And I saw that so many of them wanted to play a sport. And a lot of them have a lot of talent, but maybe they don't have the right coaches. Maybe they don't have the right training. Maybe they don't have the right equipment. Maybe they don't have money for a ball or the ability to go to hoop locally, or if they want to play baseball, you need a team.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're able to do is help kids that are not doing well in school have more one-on-one attention, go to our private school, but play sports at the public schools or the other private or charter schools.
Fabulous.
But they can play wherever they want. So if a school doesn't have a team, then we want them to go where they can play, where they can actually live and do what they love to do. The other thing is we're negotiating with a basketball player right now to be able to put his name on one of my schools.
Great.
Because we want to build more schools with more brands, whereas an athlete can put a name on a school and own 1% of a school. He can then come in and create content or create a couple classes over a few years, and then we sell that class to other schools. Because now we're a private school system, so we can create curriculum and resell it. So it's interesting because a lot of athletes today, and I'm seeing this in the cheer world, which they are athletes, they fly, right? So people are like, no, cheerleading is not an athlete. I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
You go up in the air 30 feet and then do a backflip and tell me that that's not athletic, like whatsoever.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, I believe, I mean, our market is we're definitely in the market for athletes. Our market I see long-term is the athletes, maybe like in Europe, some of the schools is they take the top athletes and it's 6 hours a day of training and 3 hours of school instead of 6 hours of school and 3 hours of training. And what we're able to do with athletes and celebrities now is have a digital online school for them to go online around their schedule. They can still graduate with a SACS and Advanced Ed. It's now called Cognia Global Corporate Accreditation. And they can still go to whatever college, or we're actually working with the military right now because the military is sending us students that are going to other schools or getting a GED where the other accreditation isn't at the level they need it, so they're using us. So we're doing some really cool stuff. Where do you see athletics shifting from 6 or 8 hours a day in school and 3 hours after school to the switch over the next 10 or 20 years in America? Do you see that?
Good question. I certainly see the challenge that you're highlighting, that a lot of top athletes end their career and then what's next for them.
Yeah.
And that's certainly where I think we are helping a number of athletes who really do want to build that business, and that's a whole nother job. And they need help to do that. Tell me a little bit more about the school switch that you're talking about here.
So the idea is I've been in the nonprofit space or the community partnership space for 10 years, since 2010. Mm-hmm. And I did it because a lot of kids were being bullied, and like I was when I was a kid, they labeled me learning disabled, put me in special ed classes, because I just couldn't comprehend and read. I was at the lowest 1 percentile in the country. So what is every person that isn't good at something? They go do something else they're good at.
Yeah.
And I figured that I was good at sports at some point, but when I was a kid, I was the slowest mile kid in the run. I wasn't very good. I started to get better when I had 2 coaches. One coach, Coach Teddy, and then in middle school, and the second coach, Coach Matt Erdman, who actually lives in Portland, Oregon, I believe. He's up in Oregon. And then Frank Shamrock and Javier Mendez. And I really started getting good like junior, senior of high school because I had the right coaches push me.
Yeah.
So we started the school system because what I was finding is kids are lacking